It's me, Truck Driver Sean. Thank you for tuning back in. Today I am going to show you an incredible amp. I wanted to check this out for a couple reasons. One being a bunch, like 3 dudes on the internet had demoed this, and they're guys who I kind of like their tone, but I fit in the cracks between all those guys, right? So I always tell people like I might not be for everybody, but the people that fit in between these other people, I'm your guy. Yeah. Take that for what it's worth. So what we have here is the Calypso 100. It's a 100-watt all-tube amp built in Florida. The company just moved. It was Boca Raton, and now it's I don't know, some other awesome place in Florida where the weather's always good and there's a beach probably. But yeah, very cool design. It's a lot different than what you see out there. It's a 1-channel amp. It basically just, without calling it a Soldano, because calling it a Soldano, in my opinion, that is making this cheap. I personally think, myself, this amp is better than a Soldano, without question. But you could tell that they're distant relatives or, touching cousins or something. It's fucking phenomenal. It's like, you take a basic idea that's been around forever, and you're like, how can I make this better? Because really, that's what everybody's doing. Just so you know, if you're into amps and you're like, oh, these boutique amps, just remember this, flat out. No one's doing a brand new design from the ground up. They're building off designs that have been around for a really long time, making them better. Because obviously, when something's done the first time, like you take the first Model T Ford. Who out here wants a 2025 Mustang instead? That's me. I'm not saying that the past is bad. Without the past, we don't have a future. And without the people that built stuff in the past, we don't get to have the ingenuity that we have today. Anyhow, that's my little rant about amps. But this one right here is just, it can be your blues machine, it can be your metal machine, and everything in between. It's just a wonderful amp. It plays great. It's not super like noisy, and you can tell by looking at it, it's built with, like, someone gave a shit when they built this. Alright, so back to the amp. It is powered by 5 12AX7s and 4 6L6s. It's all tube, baby. That's right. She is driven. And she is loud. I say she's loud, she is loud. It has custom made for Calypso Ontex, however it's pronounced, power output transformers. We just call them Onis. Yeah, that's dubs. It's got a powder coated chassis, which I don't think I've ever really seen that done like that before. I imagine I probably have. I'm just not thinking of it, but still, what a great touch. It's powder coated white. Because if you have dust in your room, you just love seeing it. But really, jokes aside, it's aesthetically pleasing as hell. It really is. I mean, amps are, there's not much you can do with them to make them aesthetically pleasing, especially not at this point. I mean, if you really want to shock somebody, you got some work to do. Like, you got to dig deep. But I do think it's just set up really good. It's like, it's different. It looks sort of menacing, but yet very classy. It's a great combination of the things that I like. I like an amp to look a little menacing. I like it to look classy. I mean, you don't want to spend $2,500 on an amp and not have it look like a $2,500 amp. I mean, worst thing you could do is just get a boring black head shell. I mean, aren't we tired of those? Yeah, guys like this prove that a little bit of effort goes a long way because it just looks good. And guitar players, we're guilty of one thing: shopping with our motherfucking eyes. We are the lowest denominator when it comes. Cavemen might have had one chromosome higher than guitar players. I'm a guitar player now, and I'm honest with myself about myself. Yeah. Anyhow, you guys hate it when I get rambling, so we're gonna blow right through this stuff. This is built with both PCB and hand wiring. It's like a combination of both. The PCB, a lot of people complain about that lately, but remember, the PCB is how you get a quiet amp. It's also how you get to replicate it. So, like, if you really fall in love with that amp, you have a buddy who plays that amp. When he orders an amp, he's going to get an amp that sounds really fucking close to the one that he played at your house. Okay? It's just a fact. So, those who want to argue with me, there's a comment section. Entertain yourself, so I'm not going to entertain you with it because I've touched some amps, I've played some amps, and I have an opinion based on my experience with a lot of amps. All right? We have high grade capacitors from the USA, Germany, and Japan. They have built-in tube sockets. You have a transparent effects loop that has an on and off switch, so you do not have to use it. The amp shell is built with Baltic birch, and it has a super nice thick Tolex on it, just because it's an amplifier, and for some reason, we just want Tolex on it, which is good because I have a lot of them that have big scars in the Tolex, and if it wasn't for the Tolex, the wood itself would be all messed up. You know, it is what it is. So we're gonna turn some knobs, but I just want to kind of explain the layout. So you have your voice, and you have three different ones. They they vary enough that you can actually tell, which I know we all know there's amps on there. It's like two voices, and they're not really all that different. It's kind of like add some mud or take some mud away. That's all they do. This really it's definitely a voice change. Like you can go from having something that's super tight and right, and you can have something that's kind of like if you're in a cover band that covers like 70s arena rock. It's got a setting on there. I think it's the dead center one, if I'm right. It's just unbelievable. It reminds me of like those old Marshalls that you crank through the sky, and just that richness that they had and that fullness. You get it with that, and then the next one up is sort of like a I don't know if you're gonna play like soft rock country, jazz, blues. It's really good because it's spanky and open. It's really interesting. It's just a really cool thing. And then you have another switch down here. Is your bright switch. Now, how many amps do we know that have a bright switch where you go down isn't bright, up is bright? Here you have three choices. All right. In the middle, you got your controls or what they is. Down, it curves the highs a little bit. So it's more like a bright cut. And then you have all the way up, which is, full Chinese overdrive. It's bright. But it's a bright that just sounds amazing. It's like it doesn't just add like a shit ton of treble and presence. It's adding like that really cool high end like you'd get on a parametric EQ with the high mids. To me it's all to do with the mids, where the mids are gonna sit in that, right? Over here you have your gain, which obviously because for some reason these things do not film well with my situation. If you really want to see it done, like where you can see the controls really, really well, go watch Draven Noir's video. He gets tucked in on there, and you can see it really good. But my gain is on like 35%, and y'all know I like my gain, right? Bass, middle, treble, and then you have a sweep. Now, at first, I thought the sweep was just going to control the mids, but it doesn't. It sweeps the whole fucking thing. it just it becomes very interesting. It becomes a very, very useful tool. You'll see that when I get turning things. Volume, presence, resonance, and depth. You're all like, resonance and depth, aren't they the same thing? I asked the same question. Because if an amp has a resonance, it usually doesn't have a depth. If it has a depth, it doesn't have a resonance. So the way this appears to work is the resonance, again, we're going to talk about mids. The resonance kind of plays around with the bass side or the low side of mids. And the depth is, it just, yeah, it does the thing. And it comes in real handy if you're playing a 7-string, because you can take that depth, you can cut it way back, and it makes it so that 7 string just cuts out. Sorry, I'm tired of shit. Still working on coffee, man. On the back of it's pretty simple. Plug your speaker in with the speaker jack. You have an effects loop, obviously where you plug the power cord. As you should. All right, very cool. You've heard me talking enough. It's just $2,500 in my opinion. You will not be able to get this for $2,500 for very much longer. Eventually, this guy's gonna get an amp into someone's hands that actually turns a barometer, right? And it's pretty fucking amazing. And for $2,500, you're getting an awful lot of amp. I know it seems like a lot of money to some people, but if you look at what I paid for some of these other ridiculous motherfuckers, this is priced more than fair. It just is. You know, things do have a value, my friends. All right, very cool. So we're gonna grab a guitar. We're gonna hook up. We're gonna turn some knobs. Today I will be using a Monkey House UFO for the guitar, tuned to half step down. I'll probably do a little drop tune and regular tune just because I'm old. I also have a boost hooked up. It is the TDS Effects. Yeah, pimping my own shit in this video, folks. But I hate to tell people, if I didn't own the company that made that, I'd buy it. That's the honest truth. I use it all the time now. Takes a little while getting used to it because it doesn't work like a normal overdrive. But anyway, story for another day. And I have my custom 2x12 arachnids in the cab that I'm using today. It is powered with an Eminence Man of War and an Eminence DV77. All right? Very cool. Enough of me rattling my suck hole. Let's play some guitar. To the Batman! Okay, so we're going to start off with everything basically in the middle. The knobs at noon. The only one's different is volume because that's set to so I don't clip. The switch is everything in the middle. That happened. So we're going to start messing around with the voice right off the bat. We're just going to play it with the voice in the middle. Then we'll flick it up and flick it down. We'll flick the bean. Here we go. Put that back in the middle, and now we're going to play with the bright. Obviously, bright in the middle. We'll go down and we'll go up. so now that we got those set, I like with the bright all the way up. I just think it's chimey and it has a really good, it's a very good overall, just, it's delicious. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna get the voice. I think my voice is all the way down, but let's just double check. All right, we got that set. So the first thing is a gain. This thing has buckets of gain. So we're going to crank that gain down and work our way up. Here we go. Came back at noontime. Now we're gonna do bass, metal, treble. Real quick like. Okay, so now we have the sweep. Yeah, let's see what you do. Alright, so now we're going to do the presence, resonance, and depth. Alright, so there you go. You got to see what all the knobs do. Now, like what I like to do, is dial this in, and then we'll hit it with a boost, right? The TDS Effects Sekhmet Overdrive. All right. But for that, we're gonna go to the drop tuning. Yeah. All right. Let's dial something awesome in. All right. Here we go. All right, for a good bass tone, bassline tone, that right there friggin' kicks ass. All right, so we're gonna turn on the TDS Effects Sekhmet Overdrive. Let's see what we get now. Now we fucking with fire. So there you go, my friends. Yes. This is just an incredible fucking amp. It don't take much to dial it in. If you're a guy like me and you like boost, this thing takes them phenomenally well. It, I don't know. I will own one of these. It's going to be a minute before you see it in the collection of Doom back here. But this right here, I truly believe if this guy keeps, quietly strutting himself through, I really think we're going to see him in like the lines of like Driftwood, Lichlurm. We're going to see him occupying that space with those guys, and for a reason. You got like KSR, Lichlurm, Driftwood, Monomyth, Redbeard. All these guys are small, independent builders. Okay? And they just do it so fucking well. And they give you an amp that, with tuning and turning knobs and finding the happy place, will get you pretty much anything you want. You have to take the time to turn the knobs. Okay? This isn't a plug-in. You don't just go, oh, I want to sound like Mick Thompson. Plank. You got to dial it in. If you want to see low-tuned demos of this, I would tune my ass in immediately and go watch Draven Noir. He does drop B, drop A, drop Z, whatever the fuck he's up to. It sounds awesome, but it's the chonky low stuff. Super talented kid. Super nice guy. I still want him one time, Draven, if you're watching this. This is not me picking on you. I just genuinely want to hear you go, it's my stapler. Please give me my stapler. It's that voice, man. First time he spoke, I was like, oh wow, I was expecting something different. And I love the fact that he's unapologetically him. He delivers amazing content. You want to see the Thrashmaster fucking hammering down, doing hardcore riffs, go check out Kyle Bull's video. If you want to see someone take it from the ground up, go watch Dunkey. That's Jeremy Barrero over at Dunkey and Demos. You're going to get any kind of flavor you want from those demos. They're guys that genuinely love amps. Genuinely, not generally. Genuinely love amps. And you're always going to get your best look at what an amp does if someone who actually loves amps. Granted, yes, some of those guys I listed, they do. That's their living. That doesn't make what they do not valuable, right? Everybody uses things differently. That's why we have so many amps, so many guitars, so many cabs, so many speakers, so many strings, so many pickups. It's all sauce, man. Like you're cooking a stew. It's your stew. If you wanted to cook someone else's stew, you're never going to sound like it, because the one thing you're not going to have to sound like that person is their fucking hands. That's the one thing they don't tell you. This guitar is awesome. I can tell you right now, this guitar plays phenomenally well. But you could get this guitar and you can't make it sound like I do because you don't have my fucking hands. I am part of this instrument when I play. That's the one thing people forget to tell you. You, as an individual, are going to be part of that sound. You want to sound like James Hetfield? Cut his fucking hands off and take his hands. Don't do that. It was a joke. But the point stands. You want to sound like James Hetfield? You have to be James Hetfield. You want to sound like Willie Adler? You have to be Willie Adler. You're never going to sound like Willie Adler unless you are Willie Adler. You want to sound like Nuno Betancourt? Again, you cannot sound like Nuno Betancourt. You can play his riffs, but you're not going to sound like Nuno Betancourt unless you are Nuno Betancourt. Same thing with Van Halen. Same thing with Steve Vai. Same thing with Rob from Machine Head. You can love what they're doing, but they're doing it is because it's them. You're never going to nail it down. You can think in your head that you got it nailed down, but that's why you're changing your knobs all the time, because you play it the next day. Like, I don't fucking sound right. No, it's because you're not them. They can plug into anything. Fuck you, give me a Fender Bassman. I'm going to sound like me playing through a Fender Bassman. It's just the way it is. You know, what makes an amp worth it is, can you get out of that amp what you want for yourself? And for me, this one here, it covers a wide range. It is hand-built by a Crushing Russian in Florida. By the way, I know sometimes Russians don't get jokes. That's not an insult, buddy. You're actually, the guy that owns this company is a super nice guy. I was almost on the train of not thinking so for a minute, but talking to him and stuff, he's generally excited to put his amp into people's hands. You know, he builds them one at a time, and when they're done, he puts them up for sale. If you look, it says out of stock. When one's done, there'll be one in stock. That's how it works. You want one? You're gonna have to invest yourself into keeping an eye on it. Be like, I don't want to do that. You don't want that fucking amp bad enough. All right? I waited a long time for my Prometheus. It was a line of people, but I played it at NAMM before it was technically out. I loved it. I missed the first batch. Second batch, I had financial woes. Third batch, I got one. It was just I wanted that amp. I made it happen. That's how it works. But I will tell this to everybody. Cold buying an amp gets you in trouble. Okay? Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you don't. I'm a victim of that myself. Sometimes I'm cold buy an amp and I'm like, fuck me. It's horrible. So if you have a chance, like I'll tell anybody, if you live close enough to like the Joplin, Missouri area, and you're thinking about buying one of the amps you see sitting behind me, by all means, contact me. I'm a pretty friendly guy. I only bite if you don't bring snacks. I mean, look at me. You know you're bringing snacks, right? You can come play any of these amps. I don't give a shit. As long as I'm home, yeah. Knock yourself out, man. Want to try one of the guitars I have hanging on the wall? I can just show up, man. I love having company. It's boring sitting here by yourself. It's like masturbation. After a while, you're tired of friggin' yanking your dick. You want to stick it in something, so you find a leftover piece of ham or some shit, you know? Or you just go to your buddy's house and fuck his mom. But anyway, yeah, this amp is fantastic. Enough of the jokes. Again, today's gear, really simple. One fat piece of shit. A Monkey House UFO guitar. Calypso 100. Yes, it is called a 100. The amp is called 1, and it's 100 watts. That's a stretch, right? It's being boosted by the TDS Effects Sekhmet Overdrive coming through my custom 2x12 arachnid cabinets, which I will go. Someone says, why do you only use arachnid? You can play whatever you want. I am playing what I want. It was a dream of mine to have those, and it was a long time coming. It took me a long time to save for them. I was talking and friendly with Rob from Arachnid for a long time before I bought my Arachnid cabs, and he did not give those to me. You know, the dude's in business, and those who think endorsements work like that, fuck you. These small builders, if you take something from them, you're taking from their families, okay? Just saying. You take from their families if you take free shit. Do you want someone taken from your family? The answer to that is no. We all know that 100 times across the board. People are like, no, don't take from my family. I will get cranky as shit. Don't think you deserve to. Ever. All right, very cool. If you like my rants and my shitty guitar playing, subscribe. There's tons of it that shows up all the time. I'm like fucking herpes. You can't get rid of me. All right. Catch you next video. Later.